was Wednesday, June 4th, 1995. I was at work at Night and Day Adult Bookstore and Pervert Emporium. I get a call from my buddy Mike around 3 o'clock, and he says, "Hey man, I got this guy, my cousin Adrian, you know him, he's in a tight spot with the law right now and is going to jail tomorrow unless he comes up with $300. And I say, well, that sucks for Adrian, but I don't have $300. Mike says, well, look, man, he's got this old 1967 Impala, and he's willing to sell it for $300 if you bring it today. Well, at that moment, all I heard was the word 367 Impala. Not the most popular of the Impala family, but a cool ride for a snot-nosed punk like me nonetheless. So I tell him, sight unseen, yeah, if it runs, I'll buy it. I mean, it was like $300. I could swing that to be cool, right? I mean, I had to do it. So I told him I'd get off at 5 o'clock and I'd come to the house. He said, no, meet us at Silk's Cabaret on Howard. Okay. Now, for the small matter of $300, because I was flat-ass broke, I worked for these two lesbians, both named Linda. Suffice it to say, they were stingy, and it was only 2 days until payday, and they rarely stopped by before payday. Even more rarely stopped by on payday with the fucking checks. So I kind of borrowed the cash from the store. Now, up until now, I only had one car of my own. It was a Cutlass, one of the ugliest cars to ever grace the roadways. It was Dookie Brown, had a wreck on the front passenger side from the previous owner, and was about as far from cool as one could get. So, around 5:30, I arrive at the club, and well, let me give you a little insight into this fine establishment. It resides on the corner of Howard and the famed I-45 North. It used to be a Sizzler Steakhouse when I was a kid, then Silks, then Legs, who cares? They didn't card, they didn't care as long as you were spending the money. The girls were, how should I put this? Let's see, think about that old horse, the one with the droopy face and the low hung back that kind of walks with a limp, but still works her ass off when you hook them up to the plow so you don't really sell them to the glue factory. You get the idea. Anyway, so I ask, what's up with the legal woes, Adrian? And Adrian tells me that he has a warrant and that if he doesn't pay it by 9 a.m. the next day, he will indeed go to jail. So I felt good. I wasn't just getting a good deal on a cool ride, I was keeping a guy out of jail. Whatever. Anyway, we finally get there, and all I can think about is this car. We pull up to Adrian's mom's house, and there it was in all of its glory. A 1967 Chevrolet Impala four-door sedan, a grocery getter of the highest caliber. It was 4 different shades of primer, and wherever there wasn't primer, there was rust. The windshield was cracked with dirt and grime, but it was beautiful to me. I opened the door and sat in the driver's seat and beheld a million miles of pitted chrome and trim. Keys! I said. Does it run? Hang on, man, it runs, Adrian bragged. So I turned the key, and the dimly lit warning light lights up like lights on a Christmas tree. A faint sort of buzzing hum chimed out as if to say, please, I'm dying, please kill me, I don't want to go on. I hit the ignition, but it just spun and spun. Hey, man, pump it, keep pumping, Adrian yelled. I'm about to pump the damn gas pedal off the support when finally it whimpered to life, then died. I repeat the whole process. Come on, pump it, boy! Finally, it stayed on, and puffs of white smoke shot out the tailpipe. The smell of old gas and engine exhaust filled the whole car. It was wonderful. Let's go for a ride. I want to try it out, I shouted over the leaky exhaust manifolds, wrapping in and out of sequence. We put it in reverse. The brake pedal damn near hit the floor, but it stopped, and I said, I think the gas gauge is broken. And Adrian said, nah, man, it's just empty. Let's go get some gas. So we cruised through the corner store, and I put a few bucks in. Now, all of a sudden, all hell broke loose on the street. We were on Edgebrook, right? And we started seeing people hauling ass up and down the street, getting out of their cars and cheering and shaking brooms up in the air and shaking their asses in the middle of this busy fucking street. And it snapped. I get it. My brain, Hakeem, and the boys did it. The Houston Rockets had swept their way to the second consecutive championship. Yes, I could get behind this. Could this night get any better? But it was about to get a lot worse. So we chill for a minute and wait for the reverence to die down. We pile back in and hit the road. I'm driving, Mike is riding shotgun, and Adrian is in the back. So I tell Adrian that I like the car and I want it, but I want to see if it'll be okay if we go a little faster than 30 miles an hour. So we find an empty back road. We could barely even see the road. The lights were so dim on the car. We turn the corner, line it up on this road that seemed to go on forever, and I punch it. It was less than a spectacular launch. I think like 0 to 60 in about 15 seconds. Fuck it. It would make the coolest gangbanger special that Clutch City has ever seen. Finally, we were about up to 70, and way up ahead, I see some sort of sign, but I couldn't really make it out, again, because of the lights, and we were hauling ass. It looked like a roadblock up ahead, but I thought I had remembered being on the street before. What it really was, unbeknownst to any of us, was a dead stop. 90-degree right turn. Past the roadblock was a gauntlet of perilous obstacles. First on the list was the fact that the space between the roadblock and the 7-foot-tall pile of road debris and pebbles was about only a 4 to 5 foot wide. Yeah, it was about 4 to 5 foot wide. That happened. Then there was an inadvertent launch pad created by a pile of loose asphalt that had been left there by the road crew. Next, there was this tree stump and a pothole-laden death trap, and that was about 40 feet long before you just went into this inescapable vegetation and overgrowth, not to mention that the drainage ditch to the right was a butt-clenching 15-foot drop. So listen, guys, several things go through your head when you are about to crash a car. One, self-preservation, right? Grab the wheel for dear life and don't let go. Second, how bad is this gonna be? Really? I mean, best case scenario, we walk away without a scratch. Worst case, we are attending a funeral in the very near future. And third, and I think the most important, 2 little words, oh, shit. With that being said, here we go. Do I try to turn? Nope. We would roll over and die, or end up in the bayou and die. Do I try to stop? Yes. Oh, wait, yeah, no brakes. So I think of the best option, and here we go in 3, 2, 1, and poof. We hit the launch, and we come up off the ground, a good 2 to 3 foot, miraculously squeezing between the steel-reinforced roadblock and the massive hill of concrete and rock. Next, we are flying all over the car, and as we land, we are now bouncing and banging and scraping and tearing into every hole and stump in that damn fucking trail. I hung on to that steering wheel like it was the last piece of cake at a fat kid party. If I went, that damn wheel was coming up with me. My foot was literally mashing the brake pedal through the rusted floorboard. We finally grind to a halt, and the motor was weakly chugging along before it's now whining and screaming and spewing out antifreeze and smoke and whatever else you can imagine. The whole ordeal took about 5 seconds, but to those poor souls in the carriage of that carnage, it seemed like a never-ending thrill ride into the grassy, gassy bowels of hell. Shaken and distraught, I asked if everyone was okay. Mike said he was all right. Adrian, however, made the age-old mistake of not wearing a seatbelt while sitting in the back seat of a crashing 1967 Impala. As we all flew around the cabin that night, Adrian somehow managed to slam his grill right into the steel-reinforced chrome plate that so beautifully adorned the back seat. Blood poured from his mouth as he anxiously checked for vacant lots where his teeth used to be. Blood everywhere. It was gross. So, were we okay? Sure. Did it suck for the 3 woeful passengers and the poor behemoth of smoldering metal and mess? Of course. But what kept running through my mind was, that was awesome. So, with all of our heads still attached and the motor still somehow functioning, we slowly backed that monster out of there. The ride home was a sad, shameful experience. The lights were hanging out of the page turn. Dented front end. All the places that once looked like smooth metal were now revealed to be rusted, rotting, cancerous holes. And so much Bondo flew off the wreck that I'm surprised the car even held together without it. When we got back to Adrian's, I shut off the car, we filed out, and, well, he was beast. He said, well, fuck, looks like I'm going to jail. I reached into my pocket and I gave him the $300. I said, listen, man, I never had any intention of not buying the car. I certainly didn't mean to wreck it, but I still want it. So even though it was badly bruised, I got that sucker home and parked it into the house. The next morning, I woke up and went out to inspect the damage. There was tons of body damage. The battery was hanging by the cables, a hole in the radiator, the exhaust was smashed, the front end looked like a hamburger, the lights were hanging out. So much rust, so much fucking rust. I took a deep breath, exhaled, and took a long look at the old battered warhorse. It was, in a word, beautiful. A couple of weeks passed, and I was at work again, and the phone rang, and it was my other friend and coworker, Randy. He asked me, hey, how do you feel about Cadillacs? That's all. That's